Okay, so let's think about the division between past, present, and future. And let's think about this from the perspective of Newtonian physics. So in Newtonian physics, if this represents t equals 0 at some location in space, say I'm here, and I'm just sitting here, of course I move upwards along, my word line goes upwards along here. So at some moment in time, this represents all of space at t equals 0. This represents all of space at some moment t greater than 0, and so on at increasingly greater values of t. And so this is the way to divide up the past, present, and future. So if t equals 0 represents the present, then we can say that these are slices of past simultaneity. These represent all of space at past moments in time. This is the present, and so in some sense, this is what's real. All of the events along this line would be the present, and these would be the future events. Now let's think about this from the perspective of special relativity. So here we have x and t, but we know that we can divide space and time up in a different way, depending on how we're moving. So if we have an observer moving like that, then space gets sliced like that. Again, not the best line. So the angle here has to be about the same as the angle here. So right, that's the path on the xt diagram of the moving observer. So that's the t-bar axis. This angle is the same as that angle. Let's put it on there, theta and theta. Now we know that the moving observer on this diagram slices space up in this tilted way, so that, right, these are moments of simultaneity. So let's make a slice up here. Let's say I'm going to be parallel to the spatial axis, something like that. And I can see that. So let's think of an event A there, but let's maybe go very far down along that line. Let's think of an event B here, an event C here, and an event D here, and let's think of an event E, and we have space here, so let's extend this. Let's make F, let's push F this very far out along that direction. All of these events are on the same spatial slice, so they represent the different events, but all at the same time from the x-bar, t-bar perspective. From the xt perspective, instead, we can see that we can trace, well, this is sort of it's very far along that line, so we're going to trace it back high up on t, but E traces back to, I have to go, oops, made a complete mess there, horizontally to the x bar, so sorry, to the x line. D would be, so that would give me a time for TE. Then D, I would do the same thing I would get a time for t d, which is earlier than te. Of course, I have the time for tc right there. That's earlier than td. Then I have a time for tb. That would be tb. And then, of course, a would be somewhere down here because I'm going all the way down there. So the point is, these are not simultaneous from the perspective of the xt observer. So it's an issue of principle that we could be, right, the moving observer could be, we're both at the origin. The moving observer is moving very slowly with respect to us, so this angle is very small, but it's an issue of principle that if I go further enough away from the origin, there's an event there that will be in the deep future of the xt observer, and an event along that line, which will be in the deep past of the xt observer. So events A and F are in the deep past and the deep future of the xt observer, from the perspective of the xt observer, and yet they are all simultaneous. So if a slice of simultaneity captures everything that's real, then it follows that event F and event A are just as real. And so that's a completely different kind of way of slicing up space and time. From the Newtonian perspective, we have a unique past, a present, and a future. That division is very different from the perspective of special relativity. In fact, the division now is not global. There's no absolute division. We have to look at the light cones, and we'll explore this further later on. But every event has a past light cone, right? 45-degree lines that involve the future of that event, the things that event can influence, and the things that have influenced that event. And that's a way to think of past, present. That would be the present there for the events, and get the division of past, present, and future in space-time.